Shangi Kong Hanyu to Sho. And the four limitless contemplations. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Semjen damje dewatang dewe jutang den pa jutik. Dungal tang, dungal chichu tang tra wajutik, dungal mepe dewa tampa tang mindra wajutik, nearing chak tang ni tang tra we tang num chempola ne pa juche. So everybody, Paul, it's nice you sneak in right at the tail end with all this electricity shortage. But today, we're going to, I've called it applying Garob Dorje's vital points to our daily lives. And this is what I want. I want you to use this like I am, wherever I am going. I think it's really important. So I want to start today with a Thich Nhat Hanh story, which I think is really important. He says, one cold winter evening, I returned from a walk in the hills and found all the doors and windows in my hermitage had blown open, and all the papers had blown off my desk with a cold wind. I closed the doors and windows, lit a lamp, picked up the papers and arranged them neatly on my desk. Then I started a fire in the fireplace, and soon the crackling logs brought warmth back into the room. Our senses, he says, are the windows to the world, and sometimes the wind blows through them and disturbs everything within us. Some of us leave our windows open all the time, allowing the sights and sounds of the world to invade us, penetrate us, and expose our sad, troubled selves. He asked, if you watch awful TV programs, unable to turn them off, raucous noises, gunfire, why torture yourself? And he asked the question, are you afraid of solitude, the emptiness and loneliness? Not only TV, but all the negative stimuli outside, even negative people. He says it's time to take time to get refreshing and nurturing elements, or at least slowing down and coming back to yourself. Now, Garob Dorje is the one who actually brings us back to ourselves. That was what his 3 points were so absolutely vital about. The 3 points are bringing us back to ourselves, not our human self, not the Melanie part, the Byrne part, the whatever part, not that part, to the true nature. And if you don't have time quietly disturbed from all the outer things, you can't find that nature. And that was what he really, really, really gave us. But he didn't just give us a theoretical thing. When he gave the casket to Manjushra Mitra, who lay swooning on the floor, in it were these 3 points, which have been expanded and expanded and expanded by so many people. And let's just look at them very, very briefly. And today, what I want to do is I want to spend time on the last one, which is really important. And if you've forgotten the other 2, go back. You can actually get them on YouTube very easily. If you go to the center's website, you can get them on YouTube and you can go over some of them. But what I'm saying to you, it's not because I'm teaching them. I'm the little humble person that is trying to put to you what these beautiful masters have given. But it is so vital, because those 3 points actually form the whole basis of everything. The first one is introduced directly to one's own nature, and I gave you all the ways. Now, if you've got a guru to do that, that's really wonderful, and a lot of us don't have that luxury because of our own karmic circumstances. But that's the view, that you realize in all circumstances that your Buddha nature can get you through. Okay, it can get you through everything once you know it. Not you think there is a Buddha nature and I know I've got it. Once you know it, then you can go forward in the most unbelievable way with it. And that's your view. And then the second point, one definitively decides upon this unique state. Now that is a very important thing, because that unique state is your state of the path you are going on to get back to the fruition from the essence, from the view, from the true nature. That's your pathway. And what is the basis of that pathway? I'll give you a little summary of that. But you definitively decide upon this unique state. It doesn't matter whether you're really busy at work, whether you're really busy in your family, whether you're really busy anywhere. You have to do it. Like I was in a hectic overseas trip, not only with my immediate children and grandchildren this whole holiday, but with a whole stack of family. And what I said to myself all the time is, do not lose your connection with your inner being. Do not lose it for 1 minute, whatever you are asked to do. So I saw even my relationship with the children and playing with them and everything. I saw that as actually part of my practice and part of what I had to do. And that is when you definitively decide on this unique state. I'll go back to the essence of that. And then the last one, which is very, very vital, is one continues directly with confidence in liberation. Now think about that. Yesterday, I had this weird day. Okay, we'd been overseas. We came back and we had an 80th birthday party of a cousin of mine that I'm very fond of. So we rushed like anything. I still do my practice and then rushed to go to this 80th birthday party to be there at 12. And we get there and there are no cars there. So we looked at each other. Did we get it wrong? Is something amiss here? What's wrong? I'm all dressed up for the party and everything else. I thought, no, this is fine. I tried to get hold of the woman whose party it was. No reply. I tried to get hold of her. Reply. Okay. So eventually I got hold of a mutual cousin and he said, Melanie, she died.
Mel, you're frozen.
Oh, jeez.
You froze as she died. You can start from where she died. Sorry.
Yeah, you see, the internet is unstable. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay. Tell me when it freezes, I'll stop. So she died. So, I mean, I was in such a state of shock. And instead of the birthday party, we went to the funeral. Because, you know, in the Jewish religion, they do the funeral straight away. So we went to the funeral in the afternoon. And I thought at the end of the day, I'm going dilly. But then when I went to meditate last night, and I was very upset and saw many people, old cousins from the past, and I'm thinking, what is this? A huge funeral yesterday. Don't know how people even get to know everything. And I thought, life and death, birth and death are not real. All these people, this woman was she was a very social kind of person. And I keep saying to her, don't attach people that are crying for you. Don't attach to them. Go into the light. And that's what made me think that next week, what I should do when we finish this is I should actually just do a heart thing on death and bereavement, just a heart teaching on it for all of you. Would you like that, actually? Yes. Okay, I'm going to do that. Just a very heart one, not with any theory. Okay, so you continue with confidence in liberation. Now, let's say you're expecting to have this magnificent party. Someone got bumped off. You're expecting to have this magnificent party, and instead, you die suddenly in a really strange, weird situation that she was in. How do you do that? You haven't got time over a long illness. You're just gone. And you're seeing all these people at your funeral, if you're not sleeping at that stage. And we have to have confidence in liberation. What is the purpose of our life? What did we have? We have to have confidence that we can get liberated. And that's what Garob Dorje taught, in the liberation. Now, it's really important, the overall point, and we'll do this very soon because I want to do the practice again of contemplation. That was the Dzogchen technique I taught you. And then I want to do the short practices of liberation, which you must then practice at home on your own. It's really important to do that, okay? But the idea of contemplation rather than meditation, not contemplation of thinking about things, the idea of contemplation is to unify. Now listen carefully, to unify the nature of mind, with its expression. Now you need to come to terms with these two things: the nature of mind, which has a nature, okay, the true state of mind, which has a nature, and its expression. Even if its expression is not how it should be, or we see it in a different way, we need to unify this, because both of them are Rigpa, intrinsic awareness. And once we realize this point, we are liberated from all suffering and free. And we need to have confidence in this liberation. And I'm going to teach you techniques which we can then practice over the whole year as well. Of course, I can't teach you everything in one session, but a lot of you know some of the techniques. Now, how so? How does this all come together in practical terms? Now, I want you all to imagine you are sitting on a beach, taking in, it's lovely weather, it's not too hot, you're just sitting, taking in, looking at the ocean, okay? And you're watching the waves in the ocean. And there are huge waves, and there are little waves, and you're just observing, you're not judging, and you see that the waves go back into the ocean, no matter how large they are. Now, even with a tsunami, which all of us have seen in our time, we've seen it on television, even that tsunami goes back into the ocean. Why? Although it destroys a lot on its path at the time. Now, this is very important. Why does it go back? Because they're both made of water. Now, when you take your own nature of mind and its expression, they're both made of the essence. They're the same, even though one is the expression and one is the internal awareness. The most important thing Dorje taught. Okay, so let's take this example of sitting on the beach. You can ask me afterwards and see how it applies to primordiality and its expression, which is known in Tibetan as tsal, okay, or what is often referred to as internal awareness and external appearance. Internal awareness and external appearance. During contemplation, these two become one. So if you've got a feeling, if you've got a circumstance, if you've got a situation, like my mind was blown yesterday to think of going to a funeral when we were supposed to be going to a birthday party. My mind was blown. But I used this technique of seeing the external expression is the same. Doesn't make any difference, actually, what happened, as long as you're confident in your liberation of everything that you held onto in this life. And so during contemplation, these two become one. Rigpa is discovered in both. Awareness is in both, okay? But it's not the experience itself. It's the immediate awareness of the experience, the knowing that birth and death is one, and that there isn't really birth and death, the knowing, the surety of knowing. So how does that truly assist us in daily life? That's my question to you today. Because once we know with confidence that no matter what hardships we are going through, intrinsic awareness, which is in us already, can liberate whatever is there. In other words, it all eventually dissolves back into the ocean of emptiness, our true nature. We are so attached to all our feelings, our situations, that we are unaware that they will dissolve back because they're made of the same nature. Now, it's so important when you take Garob Dorje's 3 points to understand this in a really, really, really profound manner. Okay, and Longchenpa says at the end of his Finding Rest in the Nature of Mind, I did give this quote before, but I want to give it now. Appearance, that's what you experience, in itself does neither good nor harm, but clinging to appearance binds you in existence. That's the key point. Thus, there's no need to search through manifold appearances. Just cut the root of the mind that clings to them. Isn't that incredible? Just very, very, very profound. And then, when I was reading to you last time, but it's been a bit of a time, I was reading to you what was in Garob Dorje's little casket in detail, which Toku Tondrup gives in more detail than just the 3 points. It goes like this, what was in that little casket. Homage to the realization of confidence in the self-awareness. The nature of awareness is free from existence. It's free, never tainted by whatever is happening in your life. And various arisings of self-appearances are ceaseless. Every minute, every day, another appearance is coming. So all the phenomenal existence are arising as the pure land of Dharmakaya. And all the arisings are liberated in the nature of awareness itself. Then he says the view, introduction to the nature of one's own awareness itself. The path, becoming certain of the single point of maintaining the nature itself. And thirdly, having result, the fruition, having confidence in the liberation of all into the primordial nature. Just by reading the testament, Manjushra Mitra attained a realization equal to Garob Dorje. Is it not amazing? Okay. And I want you to think of this very, very, very carefully, because when it's understood, not intellectually, when it dawns on us, when we realize it, it changes everything in our lives. Nothing is a catastrophe. You haven't got money, you haven't got this, you lose a child, you do this, you do that, you do the other, and everything. It's nothing is solid, nothing is permanently, and ultimately everything is pure and everything is equal. It's equal. It's just playing out at the moment in a way that we actually need it to, so that we can go back to Rigpa, to primordial consciousness. That's why it's playing out in our lives. Okay, in the contemplation, internal awareness and external appearance encounter each other. We're going to do it in a minute and become integrated. Where we don't understand this, duality comes in. It's me feeling this, watching this, going through this, me and it, me and you, me, everything becomes separated, and it becomes duality of subject and object. Now, I had a beautiful example of this, and maybe if I do the teaching on death and dying, I can give you back this example. But we also lost a very good friend when we were in Israel, and we were informed about it. I was very upset, and I went to the funeral on Zoom, so many funerals, but anyway, we lost this friend. So I texted the daughters And I said, you know, I wished and all the rest of it. So she texted me back this message. And she said, Melanie, I was holding my father's hand when he died. And I suddenly remembered that he was holding me. He was the first thing to hold me when I was born. She said, and as I held his hand at death, I described it as a complete circle. And I wrote back, I said, how perfect. Now, taking this a step further, can we integrate it into our hearts? Or will the mourning and yearning of me, myself, and me missing that person continue? Did she lose something? Or did she complete something? Now, what a difference. Losing and completing. One is the duality, one is the self, one is the completion. That relationship was complete. This guy was an old friend of mine. I knew him since my adolescent years, you know. So it's absolutely, can she go into her heart and can she get where she's going? Okay. Or will she now have that experience, forget about it, and not see the completion? This is the question I'm asking you today. Hello, Eric, you came in, I'm sure, after your electricity. But do you all understand what I'm saying? Do you all understand the Thich Nhat Hanh story about the blowing of our senses? We allowed that. Garob Dorje came to give these 3 points to realize, to understand. I don't know if anybody wants to quickly comment, but all I want to say is that I want to give you the experience of the contemplation again. And then I want to just give you a summary of the second point that we did, which was in my other talk. And then I want to go on to the third point. So if anybody's got something really relevant they want to ask or understand, please comment. I'm giving you a lot, I know. It just seems to go through my heart. So anybody want to ask or say? Are you all okay? Okay. Because it's really important, this. And also, I want you, write the sentence down, everybody. Awareness did not come into being out of existence. I've given you this before, but just I want you to have this next to your bed. Awareness did not come into being out of existence, but existence came into being out of awareness. Now that's telling you what's important. Awareness is important. That's who we really are. This is just the temporary drama playing itself out. And you know, I'm really, really happy to even have sessions, some sessions on your dramas of your life, and just look at them and let's analyze them and let's really do them. I said to somebody whose husband is going through a really awful cancerous process, I said to her, you know, I can help you, but if you came to the teachings on a regular basis, you'd see that it would help you, not just one that interests you. If you come on a regular basis, which some of you have got the courage to do, I don't know how you don't get sick and tired of me, but anyway, the thing is that I'm just saying that when you come on a regular basis, it's got to dawn in you. And I want you to understand that. Okay. Let's do the practice of contemplation, as is done in the golden letters, okay? So I want you to really put yourself in meditation posture, but to be perfectly honest, I'm putting you in meditation posture, but to be perfectly honest, you don't have to for contemplation. You can actually do this while you're walking along, while you're in the supermarket. It's a very, very practical thing. It's just putting life, your internal awareness and your external appearance together. It's really important for you to understand this. But if you get used to it, doing it in a meditation posture with your energy all together and in conducive circumstances, then truly you will be able to do it wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Okay, so as you breathe in and out, and I'm studying so many things that say shamatha is only the first step, calm abiding, because the idea is in contemplation. It doesn't matter how disturbed your mind is. It doesn't matter how many feelings are in your mind. As long as you have confidence in liberation, that's the important thing. Okay, as long as you have confidence in liberation, it doesn't matter. But obviously, if you start your meditation, breathing in and out, and just come in a state of contemplation, which is a condition inseparable from the view of emptiness, okay? All of one's thoughts and actions continue as usual without any deliberate calculations on one's part or any attempts at creating or stopping anything or analyzing or planning or deciding this thought you've got is right, wrong, terrible, awful. None of that. You just let it be. Neither the calm state of shamatha, says the golden letters, nor the movement of thoughts, which is in vipassana, represents rikpa. The thoughts are the power, energy, potentiality, and expression of the spontaneous energy of the mind. Rikpa can be discovered in your calm internal state or in any situation. When you're sitting at the railway line and it's chaos, when you're sitting in the street and there are protests, it's all the same. Rikpa is not the experience itself, but the immediate awareness of the experience. Okay? When you discover this, you've discovered the one thing, the single thing discovered in all experience. And after a calm state, we proceed to just a detached observation of the movement of your thoughts, detached observation, because we know that the nature of mind has this mirror reflective capacity, and it has an unlimited capacity, and it reflects many different things all day, every day. Lots of thoughts, lots of feelings, lots of circumstances, lots of everything. But in this wonderful state of knowing, we come to live in the nature of the mirror, not its reflections, not grasping, not fixating, just not getting distracted, just letting everything arise as it is. The creative play, tsal, will continue no matter anything. When we know this, we don't suppress anything. We don't stop anything. We just let everything come into the spaciousness of our mind. What is this emptiness? It is enormous spaciousness into which everything can fit, good, bad, indifferent. And we keep coming back to it all the time. We don't find an antidote to any of the things. We just allow them to be, and we learn the techniques of liberation, liberating all these feelings by doing nothing, just sitting in contemplation. And everything, it all lies beyond your ordinary mind. In contemplation, that internal awareness, that knowing, encounters the external appearance, and the external appearance encounters the internal awareness. And just like the waves of the ocean, that internal awareness will just allow everything to dissolve back into the emptiness and become integrated. Not me and you and me and these terrible circumstances and my family and my this and my that. Just imagine that you suddenly walked out of this lecture, had a heart attack and died. Are you ready? Could you let go of all the external experiences that you've attached yourself to? Could you integrate them into Rigpa, which is what you're going to see when you wake up? Ask yourself that question over and over again. Okay, that is your internal appearance, your internal awareness and your external appearance. Now, when we did the second point last time, and we'll just go over it very, very briefly. You can go back and you can get the lecture on the last time. I'm sorry because a lot of time has passed, so it's quite hard to actually get it. But when you see the second point, Tulku Urgent says in brief, now the second statement, which is to decide definitively on that one point, he says, the empty essence is called Dharmakaya. You can call it empty essence, you can call it Dharmakaya, it doesn't make any difference. Its cognizant nature is called Sambhogakaya. And the unity of these is called the unified capacity, which is all pervasive, and that's called Nirmanakaya. Once we recognize our own nature, our Buddha nature, then we should decide on one point that the three kayas of all the Buddhas are present in just that. Now, it's very, very interesting because it means you've got these three Vajra bodies, if you want to call them, the three kayas, okay? And when we look at that, it's the basic teaching of what Garob Dorje taught, because our essence, which is our Buddha nature, the nature of the essence, which is awareness, clarity, luminosity, and the capacity of how it expresses itself, unlimited compassion. Those are the 3 points we've got to really understand, and I'm going to go over them with the primordial consciousness tomorrow night. But when you look at those, it's so amazing, because once we have Vajra, body, speech, and mind, then we've got all the three kayas present in us. But start off, I know a lot of you will say, well, I can't get there, and I can't get the three Vajra bodies. And in some of the expressions, it says, may you, to the Lama, may you have the Dharmakaya, may you have the Sambhogakaya, may you have the Nirmanakaya. But here we're saying, no, I want to have those three, Vajra, body, speech, and mind, because they're so important, because they are the essence, the nature, which is clarity, which is luminosity, which is awareness, and its expression. That's what I'm talking about this morning. So those three kayas are so vital for us. We've already got them. So when you die, if you go into the Dharmakaya, you're just liberated into the pure, clear light. If you can't be liberated in that, which most of us probably won't be in this lifetime, then you can release yourself in the Sambhogakaya, because that's where the wisdoms are. That's where the Buddha, the deities inside us are. So you can release yourself on that level. And if you can't release yourself on that level, then by the time you come to the third body, and we'll talk about this more in that talk, you can release yourself into Nirmanakaya. Nirmanakaya has got extensive ways of operating, extensive ways. Can even be a bridge, can be a medicine, it can be anything, or it can be a person on this earth plane who is helping other people. It can be a million things, the superior Nirmanakaya. But once you know that, then you know who you are. And what Garob Dorje is saying, on your path, get to know those three kayas and what they mean and what they are, and that you have them within your own self. Get to know those 3 points. And then I promise you, whichever situation you're in, it wakes up to that. You got to just start waking up. Any practice you do, you wake up. Look at Vajrayana practice. Vajrayana practice says, from the emptiness, the essence, Dharmakaya, okay, comes the seed syllable and the creation of something, the actual clarity of that deity, and that deity can then express itself in unlimited form, and then it goes back into the essence again, like the waves in the ocean. Now, when you begin to just get this, your whole life changes, okay? And the thing that is the absolute most important, and in the golden letters, it actually says, let me see the page 53 of my page. No matter, from the Dzogchen point of view, no matter what practice one does, one must link the practice with Guru Yoga. Why with Guru Yoga? Because Guru Yoga gives you 4 empowerments. And the 4 empowerments, the first is for the Vajra body, the vase empowerment. The second from the throat is for the the first one's for the body, the Nirmanakaya. And that when you do that vase empowerment, that into your head, from the Guru's head, you are doing your Nirmanakaya, you're developing it. When you go to the secret empowerment, from the Guru's throat to your throat, red, that's all the energy, all the speech, all the everything that gives you the Sambhogakaya. When you go to the heart, the third one, the wisdom, awareness, empowerment. When you go to the heart, that is for the mind, the Dharmakaya. And when you go to the fourth empowerment, which is the secret empowerment, or the ultimate nature of that ultimate mind, that is all 3 combined. Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Vajra mind, Vajra speech, or Vajra body, Vajra speech, or Vajra mind. So think of it. And then what do you do in the Guru Yoga? You can do the shortest Guru Yoga. Go back, get my lectures on it. I gave it in great detail in the lectures. You can ask Nadine for it. And do it in a short way. You could do a 10-minute Guru Yoga. But the Guru Yoga, in the golden letters, it says the Guru Yoga makes that direct connection with the body, speech, and mind, and all three combined of the master. So interesting while I'm sitting here. Did any of you notice what was happening behind me in that yellow thing? I've got nothing yellow here. I think it's the sunshine. But I kept seeing this outline of the Lama. I could see it on my thing with the shawl over him. I kept seeing it all the time. You know, as I was teaching, I could see it. I didn't want to stop the teaching. Now it's just sun yellow, but it had this outline of a head and a body. It was really very interesting behind me, you know, beautiful. So the Guru Yoga is what you have to do if you're not going to do any other practice. Just do breathing in, breathing out, do the contemplation, take your refuge at whatever level you want to. I'll do more on refuge as we go through the thing. And then after that, dissolve it all into emptiness after you've done the Guru Yoga. Questions, comments? I'm just giving you the second point very quickly because we haven't got a lot of time to do the third point, and I want to move from this next week to something else. So just tell me anybody, ask anything, comment anything, take it relevant to you, how you see this. Does it excite you? Do you think, can you see that you can really, really, really do this very easily yourself? It's really important that you can do this yourself. Just by having your mind at peace. Do you all understand that? Is that okay? Anyone want to ask, say, and you can text me afterwards if you want to, with pleasure. Not long things, but you can ask me anything you want. I'll give you back in long things. But you can't give me long things because then I don't have time to listen to long things. Some people send me like 10-minute messages. I just, you know, I can't. So you must just get your point forward. I'm very happy. Just remember, and I'm just mentioning this, Hinayana, right at the bottom, is the pathway of renunciation. That means you give up all the things of the earth, you shave your hair, you go and be a monk, you give up everything, you don't work, you just clearly renunciate the whole of samsara. Mahayana is the purification of all the negativity. So what you do in Mahayana is you find an antidote. So instead of hating, you find love, etc., etc. Vajrayana is the path of transformation. It means you transform the poison into enlightenment. You don't find another thing. You just transform the poison. You see it for what it really is. But in Dzogchen, right at the top of the ladder, it's called the path of self-liberation, not meaning self-liberation. Self-liberation means it liberates of itself. So if you don't interfere with it and you're in touch with your internal awareness will do the actually purifying of whatever it is by itself. You just have to take the human mind that says, what I'm going to do about this, I'm going to plan it. I'm not saying you must never, ever make a plan, but see it always, like I always say, plug. In the old days, it was so easy with phones, because when you phoned a place, a big place, they said, hello, and you said, I want Mr. So-and-so. So they said, okay, just hang on a moment. And they took the cord and they plugged it into Mr. So-and-so's cord, and you went through. But it was all so simple, not like today. And so plug yourself in and see but you are able to connect with that place where internal awareness exists and feel excited about it in your life. I don't seem to get nearly enough time or space in my life. I don't know if you saw this holiday that I went on holiday. Okay, it was the most hectic time imaginable. We've got so many relatives and so many people and so many things, and we were going out all the time, and the children and everything else. And I just said, doesn't matter. Just do your practice even for 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes when you come into your room. Doesn't matter, but just keep that focus on internal awareness, and then it can shine out. That's what I'm trying to give you all, to all understand. So let's do the third point then, unless anybody wants to say. You're really welcome to say. Okay, let's go to the third point. Okay, what it means in the third point is one continues with confidence in liberation. In liberation, you continue with your confidence, okay? Because, so it's called, let me get it exactly. One continues directly with confidence in liberation. Please have confidence in the liberation, okay? You continue in the state of contemplation, where the internal awareness and the external appearance meet each other. And whatever arises in the mind self-liberates. If you don't interfere, unfortunately, as human beings, we interfere. It's most unfortunate. If you don't, it'll self-liberate. Now, what the third point assumes is that you've been directly introduced to Rigpa, which a lot of us haven't been, okay? But it doesn't matter if you haven't been introduced to Rigpa. There are so many books, tapes, amazing things. I mean, when I actually go through YouTube, I can actually, I listen to the most beautiful teaching by Dzongkar Rinpoche on Guru Rinpoche. Just his love and a short talk. It was absolutely inspiring. You can get to it through, we got so much access to material of great teachers. You really, really can. But when you come to the third point of confidence in liberation, you've already been directly introduced to Rigpa. Remember these points, even if you can't get there now, you can get there later. Secondly, it says, Patrul Rinpoche says, having removed all doubts with regard to it through effectively practicing that contemplation. So you keep on practicing and you've removed your doubts. You're now having confidence. Then the third point is we are able to continue confidently in the state of self-liberation. Okay, so this final statement of Garob Dorje is connected with the Upadesha series of Dzogchen teaching. Those are the secret empowerments that we get from the Upadesha series, which have to be given to you by master. But this series assumes that we've been introduced to Rigpa. A lot of you have, just through what you do, what you watch, what you can. Would be better if a master introduced you, but it doesn't matter, whatever, a lot of you have been in the presence of beautiful masters. And it also assumes that we already know how to enter the state of contemplation. So what I just did with you is how to enter, and you must practice it a lot. Just allowing the things to be there and just applying that awareness to everything so that you see it like my example on the beach. It just dissolves into the ocean, okay? And these Upadesha texts principally offer advice on how to continue in this state, okay? You sink or you swim, you go on in this state. So a lot of this teaching then goes on to say that shamatha is not going to ever get you liberated. Shamatha is going to take you to the level of the meditation gods, where it's quiet and it's formless and you're in that state, but you're not liberating yourself. Okay, you're not liberating yourself at all. Okay, so that's what shamatha is going to do. So now we have to move a little bit forward to having confidence in the discovery of rigpa, so that when we go out of our meditation room, we can continue in contemplation. For instance, if you're going on a walk, you are watching the external appearance and the internal awareness meeting each other. That's the essence of this contemplation. Without attachment or aversion, we recognize that whatever arises is truly the manifestation of the creative energy of rigpa. Knowing this is the basis of liberation. Ask if you want to. Knowing this, knowing that whatever I see in the environment, hey, are you two here? That's nice. Are you really here?
No.
Or are you just a creation of my mind? Okay. Are you all there? Or are you just a creation? You know, whatever you see around you is just the creative play of your mind from rigpa. Okay. And it's really, we find ourselves living. We're no longer living in the reflections, but living of samsara, but living in confidence living in confidence by self-liberation. So I'm going to give you the things now, okay? For the yogin, when thoughts arise, but do not come under the sway of your judgment or your other mental processes, awareness, like a mirror reflecting all your busy mental activity, but detached and unaffected, that is how we enter it, that whatever's happening, it doesn't matter if you're busy, doesn't matter if you've got a million thoughts, doesn't matter if you've got a deep emotion happening in you, doesn't matter. None of those are important. We break shamatha and enter into vipassana. Now we're no longer strictly a detached witness, but awareness integrates with action. There's no difference between the action and the awareness, okay? But in Dzogchen, differing from other meditation systems, awareness is active. It's active because your awareness goes into every single situation. You become really, really aware, and that's important. And then the boundaries between your calm state, just your absolute calm state of shamatha, and the arising of all the thoughts and feelings and ugliness and prettiness and whatever else arises, the boundary collapses. Doesn't make a single iota of difference. It is nothing, and movement occurs. We have that penetrating knowledge. And what happens is, if thoughts are liberated without a trace, there'll be no more new, fresh karma. The karma will dissolve with it. You may have karma from before. Those will be the experiences that arise, but no new karma. Think about that. No new karma, okay? No transformation. No impure karmic vision into pure karmic vision. Even though we are part of the earth plane, we just let the feelings and thoughts arise. Now, according to the golden letters, there are 4 modes of liberation. So I'm going to give you them, and then you've got to really work on them by yourself. We'll do a little meditation on each one, but I'm going to give them to you as they come in these texts, and then you're going to work on them. Okay. So the first one is called Sher Drol. CHER''DROL. And the translation of Sher Drol is liberation through bare, B-A-R-E, attention. Now that one, the analogy for that one is, it's like meeting a person we've met before. Now, like I met a whole lot of people yesterday that I hadn't seen for a long time. Now, shared draw is, you see them, then you take a little bit of time to recognize them. And then once you recognize them, you're bonded again. Okay. So a few people said to me, I'm so-and-so. And I said, of course, because now I haven't seen them for the last 20 years or something. Now they looked so old, and I wondered if I looked as old as them, you know, if they were thinking to themselves, geez, she looks really old. It's a very interesting thing, because shared draw is, you liberate through bare attention, but there's a gap, because when you recognize them and you allow them to be, there's a little gap. It's called self-liberation through bare attention. Then the second one, we're going to do each of these. The second process is called shar draw, S-H-A-R apostrophe D-R-O-L. This one's a little bit quicker, okay, but still a gap. It's called liberation as soon as it arises. So there's a little gap in the liberation. The first one, you first got to recognize it, and then you've got to let it liberate. But in this one, liberate as soon as it arises. Thoughts liberate themselves after arising, like a snake unknotting itself from its coils. So when a snake gets a knot in its tail, you can't take it out. You'll be bitten by that snake. It works it out itself, and it unknots itself. Takes a little bit of time, okay? The third method is called rung draw, R-A-N-G apostrophe D-R-O-L. And rung draw is just simply called self-liberation. Thoughts arise into their immediate and spontaneous liberation, like a thief entering an empty house and finding nothing to steal. There's nothing. I don't know how thieves seem to find even in an empty house. They'll steal windows or whatever. But in any event, it's a beautiful analogy, because a thief goes into an empty house and finds nothing to steal. No harm or benefit comes to the state of contemplation from arising and liberating thoughts. It's instant like that, okay? It's really instant. And Patrul Rinpoche gives a beautiful example where he actually says it's like drawing on water. So what happens when you draw on water is, if just have a look at it, do it in your basin. When you draw on water, it immediately goes back to water. It can't keep the figure, it can't keep your drawing or anything. So it's like really, really important instantly. But in the golden letters, they even give a fourth method. We probably never get to this fourth method, but you might as well know it anyway. And it's called ye draw, Y-E from yeshe, which is wisdom, and ye draw, and it's called primordial liberation. The first three modes of liberation refer to the process of liberating thoughts, whereas primordial liberation refers to Rigpa itself, which has never been otherwise than totally liberated from the very beginning. So there's nothing to liberate, there's nothing to do, there's no action, there's not even a state of contemplation. As it comes up, it just does. Now, I don't know how many of you have been following what's been happening with the Dalai Lama at the moment. I don't know if you have. Have any of you? Okay, it doesn't really matter now, but we can talk about that another time. But the thing is that they accused him of sexual harassment of a child and all of that, which is the biggest lot of bilge. And if anybody wants all the articles that Maureen sent on the Bardo group, I'll send them to you with pleasure, just to see how this is a Chinese intervention, okay? And that they've tried to discredit him It was an absolutely lie. And I heard about it before I even saw this. And I fought with people. I said, he's the purest being I've ever met in my life. And I don't believe a word of it. There's something fishy going on here. But the thing is that if you look at him, I saw him being interviewed in these interviews. If any of you want them, I'll send them to you. But the thing is that in the interview, he said, it doesn't really matter to me if people say these things that I know I didn't do. What matters to me is how I am in my heart. And that's really important. And it's so important to understand what he said. But I mean, just looking at this, it's quite unbelievable. Anyway, those are the 4 ways of liberating. Let's practice the 3. Okay. So if some of you can switch on your cameras, if you have got the power, it would be nice, because then I can watch you in your meditation. It's quite important if you can, because otherwise I can't see what you're getting and what you're not getting. Okay, so let's try the first one. So get into your meditation posture, but remember you could do these not in your meditation posture. You could do these anytime you're walking anywhere. It's really okay. So let's do that first one, which is called Shedrol, Liberation through Bare Attention. Okay, so what I want you to do is a minimal mental activity. So you're sitting. As soon as a thought arises, so if I were you, I would let a thought arise deliberately, but obviously don't do this when you're doing it yourself. But here, for the sake of practice, just let a thought arise. And as it arises, recognize it as a thought. So let's say you're thinking, this is what I've got to do after this session. Then I want you to recognize it as a thought. Just the creative play, soul of your essence, of your Rigpa. There still exists a small time gap between the arising of the thought, becoming aware of its presence, and then recognizing, re-knowing it as thought. On the one hand, it's dissolving again on the other. For beginners, this practice is appropriate, but later, says Patrul Rinpoche, when you've done it a lot, it will become a fault if not transcended. So start your practice. Recognize it as a thought. I'm aware of its presence. On the one hand, it's dissolving again. On the other hand, remember, if you're going through something really difficult, or traumatic, which happens, you might have to do it a lot of times. Okay? But if you're just going through your normal thought process, become aware that a thought is there on the one hand, recognize it as a thought, and on the other, let it dissolve back into the essence, into emptiness. Practice this over and over again, and practice it when you're in front of people that are annoying, that are upsetting you. Practice it. Know you are thinking a judgment. Recognize it as a thought, just a thought made out of the same essence, and dissolve it. That's the first practice. Let's go to the second one. Draw, liberation as soon as it arises. Here we are already starting with what Patrol says is the drawing pictures on the surface of the water, drawing and dissolving simultaneously. Very little teeny maybe interval between self-arising and self-liberating thoughts, because by now you've practiced the first one. So the minute the thought arises, you see it and it dissolves straight away. There's not a big time gap between it. Whereas in the first one, which is just the beginner's practice, there's a time thing. Very little or no interval between self-arising and self-liberation of thoughts. No attempt to suppress your thoughts. It's a spontaneous, effortless activity. It just happens. Thoughts are carried by their own momentum into a natural state and liberated. Like a snake untying its knot. So thoughts arising are purified by the very potentiality itself of the Dharmakaya. Strong desire, awareness is stronger and clearer. Passion, when you feel strongly about something, becomes the friend and helper of Rigpa. Discursive thoughts arise as manifestations of inherent energy, of directly penetrating the nature of Rigpa itself. Continue. No accepting, no rejecting. Yet we continue to hold, to recognize the recognition of Dharmakaya on the side of liberation. There is still a teeny, subtle duality here. It's still a little bit of me, I, and my thought. And the thought self-liberates, but there is a little bit of a gap and a subtle duality. And that's the second practice, and you must practice it, okay? Then the third one. An even distinction, the third one, which is called draw, self-liberated, like a thief entering a house and finding nothing to steal. Even the distinction between arising and liberating or dissolving is transcended. Thoughts arise, they are instantly liberated. You do not go beyond the state of Dharmakaya. Their very arising is their liberating. No distinction. Liberation is completely automatic, spontaneous, effortless, instantaneous. It's a process known as self-liberation. Their very arising is the process of their liberating. This is the method proper to Dzogchen, and all else is but a preparation. So if you watch the Dalai Lama in his interview, he says, it's not really important to me what people think. It's only important that people are able to understand something from my love, from my everything. That's what's important. And that's a very, very important point. That is absolute liberation, self-liberation of everything. So listen, there's a lot of practicing here, but not lots of hours. Just, just getting yourself free, getting the external appearance and the internal awareness to unite with each other. It's the only way we can go. It's the only way we can die. We can die in that way. That we know, even though people are crying and at our doorstep and really upset about our going, we know that it's already the same inside us. Whatever people we love, we take with us. It's not that we take the people or we attach, but they're there inside you. Okay, now really you can talk. That's really all I want to say, because it's a lot, I know. But we've still got a few minutes to just ask or comment. Just tell me how it affects you. That is what is so important. I mean, if you look at my little silver book, as I told you, it's got like about 190 pages there, 190 pages, and, you know, a whole lot, A to whatever on the back, you know, with all the teaching in it. So actually, it's enough to teach you for the whole year. But every time I look in it and I read it and I get excited about it, and then I go, no, 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 Melanie. Put it in your heart and give it to them. So that's what I've tried to do, to make it a little bit easier. But I'd like some feedback from you. How do you find this, Bern? Because you've been smiling a lot today.
I'm just starting to relate more and more to it. It's beautiful.
Doesn't it change your life?
Doesn't it? Just make it. I think these teachings are just really putting it right into context for me. I just love it.
I'm so glad. Just apply it. Practice the self-liberation, everybody. Practice it. Luce, what's going on with you? You look very tired today. I don't know why.
I am tired, no electricity, haven't washed my hair, came straight from gym to you. So I'm looking a bit disheveled. Please God, I'll go and have a shower now. It's, you know, you just got to deal with it.
You do.
And when you have to deal with it.
Exactly. But isn't it interesting that that's what this is about?
Not even a question.
Yeah,
everybody's getting flustered and carrying on. I thought, deal with it, go with it, and it's making my life less stressful in that respect.
You know what and you let it liberate, because you know what the essence of all of this is, that we're all in the right place at the right time. It's what we've created. It's what we did. I mean, I lived this lovely, carefree childhood and everything, you know, while other people were suffering so badly in our land. So surely this is just a little price one can pay, and it is inconvenient and everything. And you have to be able to give calls, and it's not easy at all now, but it changes everything in my life, my whole attitude, because you just realize nothing is very, very serious. And I took my domestic worker this morning. She can't, on a Monday morning when the washing machine can't go on, she's like beside herself. Now I look carefully at her, because I really can't just say it to her without compassion for her. But like on a Monday morning, when she said the electricity's off from 8:30 to 12:30, 4 hours for the whole Monday morning, which means she can't do the washing. Now I took her like this with my finger and I said, now listen, it's not a catastrophe. If you ran a laundry and people were queuing up outside, it would be rather a more difficult situation. But this is nothing. You now need to calmly plan when the washing machine can go on, when the iron can go on, and when it can't. And it doesn't really matter. It's so hard to put this to. It's so easy for me to see it, but it's so difficult because she can't. It's in her nature. She's come to do this, and this is what she's got to do. So, you know, it's a change in life, in everything, in all the things we have to do. We just have to change. And we have to look internally instead of always externally in our land. You know, we just have to. There's no doubt about it. Any other points, anyone? Denny, how are you with all of this?
Mel, can I just say this, you know, our Friday nights are always, our Friday nights are hectic and you've got to have this, this and this. I now say to the kids, no electricity, cold supper, salad and fish, and that's it, yeah.
Finished. Get used to it, and that's it. It's really true. And you know what? It's not a catastrophe at all. That's what you've got to understand. It's not a catastrophe. Denny, sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, sorry, Mel. I had to nip away there to take a phone call, so I missed the last little bit there.
Okay, you just get it on the YouTube,
yeah.
just to finish, so you can do it.
But
Paul Nucci, I want to hear your little voice, my little monk. What is going on? Are you getting what I'm saying, Paul?
No, Melanie. I'm sitting here at work listening to your talk.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
I can't do all the prayers and all of that stuff, but I'm taking it in.
Perfect, Paul, because you know what? With your busy life that you've got after being a monk, you have to use this so that you can apply it in your day-to-day life with children. You have to, because there's no other alternative, you know. I mean, you know, we just get so busy in our lives, but this is for busy lives, quiet lives, retreat lives. I told you that Zongsar Rinpoche said, we're not likely to go in a cave and go on retreat. And I saw this woman who broke the record. She went in a cave downstairs, wasn't for any spiritual reason, was just to see if she could live in a cave for nearly 2 years or something without going out. And I thought, if I lived in a cave for 2 years and didn't have my spiritual practice, I would definitely go nuts, you know, but absolutely nuts. She said when she left the world, COVID was happening. And now she's come back and no one's even wearing a mask. Oh, you are in. No one's wearing a mask. And she says it's all changed and technology's changed in the 2 years that she was there. You know, it's changing all the time. So why are we attaching to everything? You know, sorry, Eric, you wanted to say something? Yeah, it's going to go off now.
Yeah, Mal, hi. Yeah, no, of course, you know me as a proponent of shamatha. You mention it, I have to speak. I try to keep quiet, but the house wasn't empty, you know? So I just have to say this, I just have to add a little bit of context there. Of course, shamatha on its own won't get you anywhere, not even a hair's breadth along the path towards enlightenment. It is necessary, it is not sufficient though. So without it, there's no enlightenment. With it alone, there's no enlightenment, you know? That's all.
But can I challenge you, Eric? Can I challenge you on that? Where I'm actually challenging you because I'm saying shamatha is the technique given to Westerners because we use our human minds 24/7, and that's all we use. Most people use it. However, you see, this technique, you don't even, I mean, I've read in the golden letters, you don't even need shamatha at all. But only because of the activity of our human minds, we need to calm it so that we can look, so that we can apply it. But actually, this self-liberation is for really when the mind is busy and full of thoughts and full of everything. It's supposed to be. So I get what you're saying. It's really hard to do it unless you've got some calm abiding in your being. But you know what, I've been meeting more and more and more people who say the following to me: Melanie, I can't meditate. I've tried every kind of meditation there is. I can't meditate. So I've just come to the conclusion I can't meditate. Then I say to them, you can meditate. You just can't meditate with your preconception of what meditation is. And they say, well, I can't stop having thoughts. And I go, you don't need to stop having thoughts. You need to see them as they really are. And then you can meditate. So for people here It's really the important thing. But Bern, I'll come back to you, Eric, if you want to say more, but let's close. And then I'll stay if anybody needs to do anything, because I know it's difficult, you know, with all this load shedding and everything. And as long as it's on cap, so we dedicate for all the suffering people. This is an immense time of suffering in almost every country. Even when I was in Israel, there's so much suffering and so much protesting and people trying to dominate and all of that kind of thing. And it's so sad to me, you know, because of what all these Jewish people had been through before. So I dedicate for the calmness and the understanding of all the people going through suffering in Syria, in Sudan, in every single place, in Ukraine, in every single place. We dedicate all our prayers to all of them, because there's almost not a country that is in peace in this age of degeneration. Through this merit, may we achieve all-seeing Buddhahood, and thereafter, once all harmful enemies have been defeated, may all beings be liberated from the ocean of existence, stirred by the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Sonam die tamche zipane topne nepe dranam pamshene jeganachi balap tropaye sipe sole doa dro warsho.